Welcome back to Velocity Invitational. This is the 5th running here at Sonoma of the event. We've actually been to Laguna Seca as well, but we're here, and I think this is going to be our home from here on in because it just seems to fit. The wine, the sipping, the tasting, the food, the sort of elegance of the location and how we're able to set up here. The track itself is as demanding as it's always been since the late 60s. But now for something completely different, in the words of Monty Python, because we have on track both drifting, you'll see here, and I bring in Farouk Kawaya to tell us more about that. And we also have Steve Rimmer, the founder of DirtFish Rally School, as we have the rally cars out on track and a special stage all set up. We're going over to the special stage, but it is available, and DirtFish have now been part of the event for the last few years. But let's start with the drifting, and he's not going out yet. He's obviously just done a 1-1 lap, and he's not happy with the setup. But Farouk, welcome. We spoke yesterday. Really interesting how these cars come to be. That was a Toyota truck we just saw, but boy, it can move.
Yeah, that's an old Toyota Stout from the late 60s, which Brilliant. Is, I think the name is pretty much all that's left from that original car, besides maybe the roof and the hood. But they've created this kind of bespoke drifting truck, 3S GT, old MR2 style motor underneath the hood, 600-700 horsepower, driven by Ryan Tuerck, who's been in Formula Drift for 2 decades, phenomenal driver, but also kind of a unique builder of cars, right? Creates these crazy concepts that he drifts in demos like this around the country and world. And it's really, it's kind of a cool combo to see kind of not only his driving, but also his build factory, let's call it, of what he creates.
And Steve, here's some of the rally cars, Group B, but these aren't just rally cars. These are unobtainium, in my mind, part of your collection, I believe. Tell us why you picked them and what is special, and tell the audience what's so special about these particular cars.
Well, thanks, Jonathan, for having us here, and thank you to Velocity for inviting us. We're very excited to be included again in such a special event. Group B is something I grew up with, showing my age, but I remember watching these cars going through the forests of northern England.
We're talking mid-70s?
This late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
You know, the car up there now, the Audi, special memories, Hanna Mikkola's car. He bought it from the factory, and then was owned by another World Rally champion, Juha Kankkunen, who I bought the car from. So with these cars, obviously rallying is pretty tough on a vehicle, but probably the most original Audi S1E2 that's actually out there.
All-wheel drive?
4-wheel drive, 5-speed box, dogleg left, 5-cylinder turbocharged, lots of turbo lag. One of the other cars out there is a predecessor to the Audi and the Lancia Delta S4 that's out there, because we have the Fiat 037 out there. And that was the last type, 2-wheel drive type to win the World Rally Championship. It then went on to 4-wheel drive. But that is supercharged. It gives you a more linear power application. And then the other car is the Lancia Delta S4, the martini-colored car out there. That's really the derivative that Lancia came in with the full Group B. That's 4-wheel drive. Everybody else stayed with turbocharged. But in fact, what Lancia did was they kept the supercharger from the 037 and added a turbocharger. So in theory, you've got some linear power application through the supercharger.
Here you go.
Yeah, and that's a Henry Toivonen car. Also driven by Marco LN in period. And there's one car you'll notice that's missing from this session. Thankfully, in touching wood, it's not because it's not working. We're holding back the Peugeot 205 T16 because a certain French IndyCar driver has put his hand up and said, "Can I drive it?" So you'll see.
A Frenchman driving a French car? Goodness gracious.
What could possibly
go wrong? Yeah, Roman Grosjean, yeah.
So I hope I'm not tempting fate. No, Roman has actually driven a Delta S4.
He's done a hill climb, hasn't he?
Hill climb in a Delta S4 before, but you'll see him out on the track in the T16 at 1150.
Right, Farouk, I got to ask the question because everybody else is asking it. How the heck do you do that?
Well, if you notice, he flicked the opposite direction before entering that first corner. And, you know, I know in rally you guys do the Scandinavian flicks, right? those usually happen under braking or with a weight transfer, just with the lift. We do that with what we call a clutch kick. So we stay full throttle and we actually pound the left foot in and out of the floor just to upset the balance of the car.
Brings the car forward and then gives you a chance to flick it.
But it still lets you have the weight on the back axle, so you still stay fast. So he'll do something called the clutch kick into an e-brake, where he grabs a secondary brake system on the rear axle and then initiates the slide. Then all gas from there.
Now it sounds like you're talking ice skating at the Olympics, the way you're describing it. Because but there is technique. I mean, that is exactly what you're describing.
Yeah, there's a lot of pedal dancing, for sure.
Yeah.
I have a question for you with these incredible historic cars. You know, a lot of our drift cars take so much maintenance to keep up. This field that you have on the course, I mean, how's the maintenance of these old Group B cars?
So, like a lot of things, you know, parts are key. But to be honest with you, if you ask Sean Medcroft, who takes care of the cars for us, I think he prefers the Group B cars rather than the later cars. These cars are very mechanical, very analog.
More accessible, right?
Yeah, and so you can do things very logically, physically, mechanically.
Yep.
The next generation, the World Rally Championship cars in the 90s and 2000s are really electronic wizardry. And electronic technology that's moved so fast that even now it's hard to maintain, though. It's harder to maintain the World Rally cars out of 1990s than it is to maintain these Group B cars. If ever we find spare parts for these cars, you know, anywhere, we grab them, because obviously that's something that is essential to keep them going. But we love having them out there. This is what they're made for, at least, you know, get them out and let people see them and understand them.
I know it's like asking which child is your favorite, but do you have a favorite amongst your? I mean, these are your cars, correct?
Yeah, I mean, if you asked a favorite, the Audi has got such heritage and there, but the S4 is special as well. I think my son James is driving the S4 today, and he drove it up the hill at Goodwood earlier this summer, and he said, I've never been in a car that feels like it's going to kill me, like the S4. Whereas the Audi is much more progressive. You saw Michael Martin out in thank you, DirtFish. This is where
this is where you all started it. Yeah, we wanted to show people if they like what they see, they can do it.
They can do it here on the rides over the other side of the course, but this is what we started in. We just had our 14th birthday last week.
How many acres have you got?
It's 300 acres, a great playground. It's a Foreman mill site.
It's beautiful.
And this is the school itself. We have our own shop, obviously. We run BRZs for rear-wheel drive, and we run STIs for four-wheel drive. We've had a great relationship for the last 14 years with Subaru, who you know, we share a passion about rally and rally in North America, and we've had a great experience here with them. But we have about 3,500 people come through every year.
It's amazing.
And basically we're open about 360 days a year.
Amazing.
The rain in Seattle is helpful.
Yeah, for sure. Right?
Well, you say that. It's such a beautiful part of the world.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of day it is. I've been myself, thanks to you, Steve, and appreciated it, and loved every minute of it. And what I didn't kind of take into consideration is that you get instructors. I think James's engineer was my instructor when I went, and so I was delighted because we were having a bit of fun because I actually knew the guy, but he was teaching me some rally skills. I didn't break anything, thankfully. I didn't get any trouble, but I learned a lot. You know, and also while I was there, one of the professionals was training for, Jim Garner was training for American Rally, so I got to see some of the best in the business.
Yeah, you know, we've been fortunate. We've got a great team of people there, and that team, you know, puts a smile on a lot of people's faces every day. But we get everybody. Jensen, actually, you know, Jensen's father, John, was a rallycross driver.
Okay.
And Jensen came up to DirtFish when he was preparing for, you know, the Extreme E.
Of course,
you
yeah,
know,
makes
so
sense.
he ran the team there. But I'd be remiss not to say, you know, we love to teach people. We love people to come out with a smile. We love people to come back. But we actually love people to come and do something like this, get them on the stepping stones, and that includes everybody. You know, there's a DirtFish Women in Motorsport panel.
Yeah.
We held one yesterday. There's one at 11 o'clock today at turn 11. I think it's at a similar time when Travis Pastrana is actually on the track. So, you know, Travis is a great supporter of rally in North America, and I think he might be doing some exhibitions around turn 11.
He's bringing the Huckster, isn't he?
Yeah. So maybe he'll do something like Ryan and the dirt guys, the drift guys are doing here.
Yeah,
you know,
a little bit of both.
Entertain us out by turn 11 and come along and see the Women in Motorsport panel.
Entertainment is a middle name of Travis Pastrana. If you don't know who he is, stay tuned, because he has a star-studded history of extreme sports, whether it be two-wheel or four. First man to do a double backflip, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yep, on a motorcycle. There you go.
Lots of firsts in Travis's life.
With Travis.
But this is amazing as well. You know, you look at the truck and look at what you guys do. And as you say, there's a lot of shared skills across this.
Yeah.
You know, what you guys do in drift, you know, what we do in rally, and what people do on the racing lines out here when they're actually racing. Like you just watched Jensen.
It's about the examples and I guess the enjoyment of car control. Let's put it that way, right? Just being able to be completely in control of the vehicle around the racetrack. What Jensen was doing around the track, I mean, obviously with great pedigree, but the way he was dancing that classic car around the track was just phenomenal. And back to the turn 11 thing too. For those that don't know, the turn 11 building's right at the entrance of the racetrack, has a fantastic terrace. So if you guys are going to go watch that women's panel, the terrace there's one of the best places to watch, you know, what will be happening on the track as well.
You know, just to put a footnote on my experience with rally and learning rally, you may have no interest in motor racing whatsoever and think, I don't want to go there. I don't want to be a racing driver or a rally driver. But when you get either in the passenger seat or get a chance to drive one of these cars and understand how strong the braking is, because you're in an environment that isn't a road situation, you can slam on the brakes, you can use the car, you can see what power it can create, you can see how the car will actually help you steer with the right technique. And it just makes you walk away, and once you get back into your rental car or whatever, and realize that you don't need to drive it like that, but there is a lot more to driving than perhaps meets the eye at first bet, and the car probably could drive a lot better than you are able to input it, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're giving drifting ride-alongs today in the middle of turn 10, and I urge everybody to come get a ride, because it's one of those experiences that, you know, for a normal driver, you will usually not be in one of those situations until you don't want to be.
Correct.
Right, and understanding what it's like to be in that situation really is a great kind of threshold breaker, right? You're, and same with a rally school. You know, I urge everybody to take those advanced driving classes, because especially for the younger kids or younger people in the family coming up, even if they don't plan on becoming a racing driver, the amount of safety that you teach with those techniques is, you never know when you're going to need that technique.
I think the most rewarding emails we get is, you know, I was driving in the snow or I was driving in the wet, and, you know, I didn't know I was going to be able to, you know, apply what I learned the day with you, but you probably saved me from a big accident.
Yeah.
And it's surprising and disappointing in so many ways that people have to suffer it, but so many people go through that on the road today, and it's most rewarding when you get something like that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much. You saw the checkered flag there, Farouk and Steve Rimmer joining us here. Let's head down to Velocity Lane and join Taylor.